Hello, good afternoon, dear President, dear Ms. Vice President of the Government of North Macedonia, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, friends, and guests. Welcome to the Belgrade Center for Security Policy BSC Leaders Meeting. The Belgrade Security Conference aspires to be a window to the world for the entire region of the Western Balkans and promoter of a positive change.
My name is Srdjan Cvijić. I'm the president of the International Advisory Committee of the Belgrade Center for Security Policy, and I will be moderating this debate. Please allow me to present the president of the Republic of North Macedonia and to welcome Stevo Pendarovski, the Deputy Prime Minister of North Macedonia, Slavica Grkovska, Vessela Tcherneva, Deputy Director of the European Council on Foreign Relations, and Goran Buldioski, who is heading the Open Society Foundation's Europe and Central Asia Department. What are the major threats to the stability of North Macedonia and the Western Balkans region?
If we have not been in NATO alliance, then the Russian invasion in Ukraine will provoke much bigger problems than we are looking and facing today. It is not to be said that today we are not facing these kind of threats, but if we are measuring the quantity, the intensity, the depthness of all of that, that's certainly going on, but it is nothing like, as I said, 5 years ago or 1 year after that. In the last 2-3 years, by far the most popular politician in the country is Vladimir Vladimirovich. So I'm joking about that. It's not a funny joke then. If eventually Putin will appear in Macedonian elections, will be badly defeated in the first round by him.
Is Russia weaker or stronger in our region because of the war in Ukraine?
I guess it depends how you measure it. Definitely the Russian messages, as also the president illustrated, have become more visible and they're more often to be heard in media. And this is the case everywhere in the region.
How to assure the stability of the region without the EU perspective? Is it at all possible?
This morning I attended and I read an excellent study where, the civil society leaders that are at the forefront in this country for the EU promotion, clearly in an opinion poll, they share that they've lost faith. Let's ask ourselves, what are those European values? And most of the people like me will think these are values of a liberal democratic society. And somehow, often it's a projection. There are fantastic member states where they really thrive as a liberal democratic societies, but also EU has in the meantime become a club that is not. Some of them are actually electoral democracies in similar way Macedonia is and many other countries in the region. None of the alternatives have received any serious exploration, any serious both academic or empirical policy in-depth research for us to be clear to say that actually there is an alternative or is good for the country.
In January this year, you accused the unnamed Bulgarian politicians who engage in campaigns against your country to be the vectors of Russian influence. To what extent are these bilateral issues and concretely with Bulgaria an obstacle to all of this?
We have at the beginning of this year, we have I have convened a national security meeting. National Security Council meeting in Skopje, and we have, with the support, of course, and info from our services, intelligence and counterintelligence services, we have assembled the list of dozens of people. We would like to specify the number, of course, which should not be allowed to enter the country, especially when the so-called historical anniversaries or festivities connected to that historical anniversaries are in place. That is the 4th of February, 4th of May, which is the birth rate and the death of our biggest revolutionary, Goran. Few of the people are, from my standpoint, unfortunately, current Euro deputies. and they have not been allowed to enter the country, I think on 4th or 5th of May this year. That is not formally declaring them persona non grata, but simply on that occasion, on that specific day, they have not been allowed to enter the country's territory.
And frankly, creating lists and not allowing MEPs to enter North Macedonia is not helping anyone.
Whether it's smart to have bilateral disputes in an EU negotiation framework, I can quote you at least 100 experts to tell you how smart it is. But also look back. Is it a political reality? It is. And I think it has to be resolved as a political reality. In addition to that, it's also a reality of identity of a small, embattled nation.
We have a war which is less than 1,000 kilometers away from here. We have an economic crunch that is threatening to turn into crisis. We have a European Union which is changing very rapidly, which is opening new issues, which is changing its attitude towards the region, which is acting much more geopolitically than ever before, which has actually opened a momentum for the region that we haven't seen for the past 10 years. And the only thing I would say is that it would be really a shame if we don't use that. And if we focus on things that are not to the benefit of any of the citizens of this region.
I think that looking, let's say, from a Macedonian perspective, we have to deal with our own myths, we have to deal with our own issues. And you know, it will be absolutely ideal if Bulgaria deals with theirs, but if it doesn't, I'm not sure that we will be able to help it.
Vessela mentioned seizing the geopolitical moment and looking from the regional perspective, talking about my country as well, Serbia, there is a feeling that we are all engulfed into our own issues and problems.
My question would be why we should welcome a country into our union where clearly the most popular foreign leader is Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. Our taxpayers paid for all your vaccines during Corona. A few months ago, the President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, gave 200 million euro on top of the massive support without conditions. I have heard no politician in this country say thank you. Instead, what we hear is, why is the EU making us wait so long? Right? We are not making you wait so long. You are making us wait so long. You could have done the necessary reforms 10, 15 years ago, which would, by the way, have put you in a much better negotiating position towards Greece and now Bulgaria. Bulgaria is simply the newest fig leaf for not doing the reforms.
Response, yeah.
Please.
In one sentence, on the very funny question in the first part, and that's a good rhetorical figure. You have mentioned about Vladimir, why to accept the country into the European Union membership where Vladimir Putin is the most popular politician. Simply because you have already 2 member states at least where that guy is the most popular politician. You know these two countries, if not, I'm going to tell you after the session here.